Oh, and mine's and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And you want to know how my day at work went on Thursday? Do you want to know how my day at work went on Thursday? I handed a coworker some fruit snacks and said, "Sorry, I saw you on the can." That's how my day at work Thursday went. But do me a favor and hit that like button, or else I won't let you see the Fango multi-tool pliers. Now, you'll have to forgive the sound of my voice. I have been sick for about 5 days now, which is why there haven't been videos. This is the best my voice has sounded in a minute. So, we are overdue on videos. I haven't given you anything to watch in 5 days now, and that is not typical for me. We gotta do this. We're overdue on it. So, let's take a look at what we got. And we have Top Pick 2023 Gift. Meet all your needs. And, yeah, I mean, this was like an $11 multi-tool. And, come on, give me, time! You know, this was an $11 multi-tool. I bought it because it was $11, and you guys know, we like checking out the bottom of the barrel stuff sometimes just to see how bad it actually is. Especially coming from the perspective of somebody that's handled a lot of trash knives and multi-tools over the years, especially back in the day when I could not afford anything else at all. And to top it off, you know, back before things like Amazon were around and stuff like that, like, it was hard to find new stuff at places like Walmart and all that that was affordable and you knew what you were getting. So, all that out of the way, you know, a lot of what we look at is from the perspective of someone that has handled a lot of trash back in the day, which is why I'm constantly blown away by what's available now for as low of a price as it is. My God, the difference is night and day. So, let's see if the difference between this and the trash multi-tools I carried in the past is still night and day. So, let's take a look at what we have here. And of course, we've got our pliers, which are indeed springy loaded. We have got our plain edge knife right here. We have got our Phillips head. We've got our small flat bit. We have got a serrated edge. And of course, the nice thing is, these guys do lock open. They do lock open. They have got the world's cheapest impression of a Leatherman wave style lock. You can see right there, this is just folded stamped metal. Like, it could not be any cheaper. And I have not felt good for days, you guys. We have got our bottle opener, and we have got a smaller can opener. We have got a larger flat bit right here. We have got the world's most dull scraper, and we got a file. So, all that out of the way. One of the first things to know, when I carried this, it wasn't terribly offensive. We have got, come on, we have got the sheath right here that it came with, which was, you know, it was a sheath. It was not bad at all. You know, it is got rigid walls. It is shaped to fit the tool reasonably well. It's not like a tight fit like I've come to like, but it still worked. I was worried about the belt loop on this getting pulled out. I've had that happen before. We didn't have an issue with that at all, guys. No issues with this. The pouch itself is quite good enough. I may actually hang on to this pouch for something else in the future if I need to carry something or I want to carry something. So that's a plus. The pouch was okay. Now, one of the first things that I had concerns with, and, you know, in the past, I have had a big problem with, is the cutter. The jaws on the cutters have been really soft. And I figured, you know what, they had to have gotten past that by now. Heat treatment's done in larger batches for stuff like that. It should be better. And while it did do a bit better than I thought, I was cutting the steel wire that we used to wrap around bales. I had a piece that, you know, just that wire didn't work. So I cut off a bunch of pieces while I was throwing it away just to kind of test it out. And I'm not sure how well it shows it on camera. Probably not too well, but you can kind of see the discoloration right in here. And this thing actually rolled in a couple of spots. It rolled in a couple of spots, and those weren't difficult cuts. So that's a pretty big ding on it. Like, I hate when they do that because, like, you know, you can sharpen a knife out, all right? You can fix a lot of things, but those jaws, they start getting warped and dinged up. You kind of don't have options to really fix it effectively. I've seen guys fix some of these jaws on other things, and if I really wanted to, I could probably get in here with a file and just hog off material until it was back to smooth again, but for $11, she ain't worth it. And You know, I didn't use a whole lot of the tools on here just because I didn't really have opportunities and reasons to. And like, I need to start figuring out how to test these more thoroughly outside of, you know, the screwdrivers and the knives and the files and all that. But like, I think you can see right here, the grind on the tip of the can opener right here is so uneven. Very, very dull as well. And you know, one of my concerns when I see the rounded tips on these things are kind of round, the metal's really not ground out very well. Usually that's an indicator, you know, and it shouldn't be based on this appearance, but every time I've had ones that look like this and are ground out like this, the steel's very soft. And this was certainly no exception. So I had planned on going in and testing out the large flat bit right here, and let's see if it'll show up. And again, I'm not sure how easy it is for you guys to tell on camera, but this thing is twisted. It picked up a twist this way, tightening some large screws down, and I didn't reef on it that hard. I really didn't. Like, it was about as hard as I needed to make sure those screws were set all the way. But, you know, the first time it started bending, I was like, yep, there she goes. And so for the next few, I did lean onto it a bit harder, trying to see if this would shear off or twist, you know, way farther than it did. Maybe that'll show it. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to get it on camera, unfortunately. I wish I could. I really wish I could get it to show up better on camera. Let's see. You might be able to see on the edges right here. It is definitely twisted. Like, it is severely twisted out of shape. Now, it didn't shear off. It did take it did soak up a good bit of force and didn't bend too much farther out than that, which is, you know, a little bit of a surprise. But you know, it held up to that with some damage, but it didn't shear off the way I expected it to. Still not good, but not the worst case scenario. I will say one thing I learned is while I was doing that, you know, you're squeezing these things to tighten stuff down. You know, I'm going in on it, and it was all too easy when gripping it hard to open the lock up, and it kept doing that. So I had to be really careful how I held this and push up to an area that I wasn't as comfortable holding. But yeah, it definitely wasn't necessarily ideal. It still worked, but absolutely not ideal. These guys right here were not comfortable while I was using the screwdriver bit. They serve no purpose that I can think of. Maybe fish scalers. These might just be fish scalers or something along those lines. They have to have some kind of use. They have to. But you know, it just, oh, man, it felt cheap the whole time. The other big thing I got use out of, now I did try using the screwdriver at work, and for the kind of screws I was driving in, this was way, way too dainty. I couldn't even get enough purchase to slip properly to see if this thing stripped out. And again, I need to find better testing methods to really get the most out of these. However, I'm probably not going to be looking at more multi-tools for a while because it's impossible to find stuff that's not pretty much a one-to-one clone of something else. I'm going to have to do further research. You know, the expired patents on designs is one thing, and even then I'm not super comfortable with it. I feel like it damages the reputation of the channel and kind of, you know, I don't like it. But I couldn't really get that to do anything. Now, I'd say the best part of this thing that I experimented with was the file. The teeth are cut well enough, especially on the double cut side, and honestly, it was used as a fingernail file. I did try to use this as a screwdriver, and there's like a little bit of a chip taken out right here. You can see that there's a little bit of a chip taken out right here. It didn't bend out of the way nearly as badly, but I also could not get it to sit right on those larger screws that I was running. It was a bit too large, so I couldn't really get in there and really reef on it. So, you know, I would say stuff like this is stuff you want to skip. You absolutely want to skip. You know, I've said it before, but sometimes trash can be kind of fun to play with. You know, especially again from the perspective of someone that remembers what the trash was like back in the day and how much better the trash is now. This is still every bit of trash. God almighty. I cannot tell you how bad, like, this is day number 5. I cannot tell you how bad it is, and this is so much better than it was yesterday. But, you know, this is definitely trash. It is absolute trash. The only thing I can say is compared to what they used to be, the only thing that they added is the pliers are springy, and we got locks on the tools. And the locks on the tools are actually locks. All right, they would be good locks, but they're set up in such an unfortunate way that when you're gripping on this and like, I didn't even have it over on this side where, grabbing this thing and holding it would accidentally press the lock. It was this right here hitting the lock. It was this right here hitting the lock and causing the lock to fail. And that was unfortunate. Now, I will say I was immensely grateful to have that lock because you can, if you're a little bit more careful, hold it in a way where the lock doesn't open up against your will. That is a gigantic improvement over the cheap multi-tools of the past. Now, could you throw this in your car or something like that in case you were you needed something and you didn't have anything else on you? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you had a use case scenario for this and you didn't have anything else on you at the moment, there's a lot you can do with this, just like any other multi-tool, no matter how cheap. It will hold up to some mild abuse. Like that screwdriver, I reefed on it pretty hard. It bent, but it didn't shear off and it didn't keep twisting past a certain point. And I mean, you can't really, say it's quality, but I can say it's a little tiny bit more confidence inspiring than they used to be. Because they used to twist all the way out of shape, or one of the corners would just shear clean off, and it's gone. So, I mean, there's not much to say. The positives. The sheath is okay. It's acceptable. The pliers work pretty well. The file seems to be okay. The screwdrivers, at least it didn't shear off on that flat bit. I was expecting it, but it didn't. Outside of that, everything feels incredibly cheap, incredibly unfun. And for like 10 or 15 bucks more, you can get something like these guys, which they are, again, one-to-one knockoffs of the Gerber Suspension NXT. But if you're not worried about the things that I am with the clones and everything else, this is really hard to go wrong with. For a few bucks more, you can get up something a little bit better. You get up into the $30 to $40 range, the world opens up a lot for these things, and you can get some really good stuff. Most likely it'll be like a Leatherman Wave clone or something like that. Still a clone, but again, if you're not really clone-averse, no problem. But yeah, I bought this not because I thought it would be good, but because I thought I'd show you guys, and again, I will hammer on the difference and how much better this still is than the trash was back in the day. The stuff that I could afford, the bottom of the barrel back in the day, I still would have rather had this any day of the week, especially after I lost that Schrade Tough Tool and couldn't buy another one. Oh my God, this would have been so much better. So, overall, I'd give this thing like maybe a 3 out of 10, going off of today's standard with the better stuff that I've handled. The standard back in like the early 2000s, this would be like a 7 out of 10 for cheap, bottom of the barrel multi-tools. Still crap, but compared to the other crap there, so much better. But that's everything I wanted to talk about. Those are my thoughts on this thing. So all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. You keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I am still working on the giveaway. Stuff keeps happening and delaying it. Channel members, I still have yours waiting in the wings too. I haven't forgotten. But yeah, hit that like button if you haven't, please. It helps more than you know. But comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this, and if you were around back then, how does this stack up against the old Ozark Trail multi-tools in the bottom of the barrel crap, that kind of stuff. But all that being said, y'all have a nice day.